Excellent. Thank you, Rick, for filling in for Rob. Um, and the next thing is tonight's speakers. So we don't have one speaker tonight. We have kind of a mini homebrew sort of night where we have, I think, three members who are going to uh, tell us some stories, for about 10 or 15 minutes about projects that they had worked on or have worked on or are working on. And between the three of you, have you decided who's going first? All right, Justin's first on the website, and the website is king, apparently.
Up first
So,
is Justin, AI6YM.
all right. I assume you're going to come up to the front and present from here.
Making a big cake.
Two people trying to hand me a microphone. That's not going to work very well. How many hands do you think I have there, Ben? And I was also not aware of the 10 to 15 minute timeline. In fact, Ben, you told me I didn't have a time limit. So this is going to be a long meeting.
Well, I didn't I didn't want to intimidate you. I think between the three of you, you basically have an hour, so you can sort it out however you want. You can take 50 minutes and force the other two to rush really fast because
that's great.
They made you go first, so take as much time as you want.
Okay, so this is actually kind of a follow-up to my full-size presentation last year because it talked about how to operate satellites and how to set up your own satellite station and all that. So for the how and why of satellite operating, last year's presentation's on YouTube. I'm going to skip that section this year. But like last year, I'm going to be giving a bit of a retrospective on the Field Day VHF-UHF station, which went worse than last year somehow. In that we had less problems, but we also had less contacts. We had one satellite contact last year and had zero this year, and five simplex contacts. Last year was a couple of dozen, something like that. Exactly. Fantastic location for everything else, but VHF, UHF, that was not a great spot. So there was just nobody listening. And so the people that were listening answered us, and then we ran out of people to talk to. So last year, talk about the problems a little bit that we had, because this year's station was basically engineered to not have any of those problems be even possible. So last year, a lot of the problems revolved around the antenna rotator. So first you had noise from the rotator itself. The motor drivers were generating enough RFI and it was positioned close enough to the antennas that you were drowning out the quieter satellites. You could hear the ISS, and that was about it. Every one except the ISS is operating under a watt, in the tens of milliwatts range, depending on the satellite. So the problem is hearing the satellite not being heard, which is great. You don't need a lot of power. But when you have a little switching power supply running and generating RFI about 2 feet away from your antenna, you get a bunch of noise. So this year, no antenna rotator. This is an egg beater antenna, and one of the advantages is it doesn't need to be pointed. Now you don't have the forward gain, but you don't necessarily need it. This is kind of on the edge of what can hear the quieter satellites. Advantage of an egg beater is it is circularly polarized when the satellite's directly overhead. As you get down to the horizon, the radiation pattern drops off a little bit, so peak gain is overhead. And as you get down to the horizon, these will be both vertically polarized. They're effectively the same antenna, just built for two different bands. But in the Bay Area, the bottom 10 degrees of the horizon at a minimum is blocked off by mountains or local obstructions anyway, so who cares about your reception at the horizon? So even if you can only get 30 or 40 degrees directly overhead, the advantage of not having to point the darn thing and always having a decent polarization match is really good. You don't have the problem of the rotator potentially adding noise to your system. I will build another rotator, but this year's station was all about how can we reduce the number of things that we can screw up and still have a station that can operate a satellite. And came into Field Day thinking that that's what we'd accomplished. Another problem with the antennas last year was the mechanical design. And the rotator kind of made that worse because when things are moving, any imperfection in mechanical design is going to get worse. So for those of you that don't remember, on the 70 centimeter satellite, or on the 70 centimeter satellite antenna, it would move and rotate, and suddenly our SWR would spike to infinity. And you'd take it down, and it'd be fine. And you'd put it back up, and it'd be fine. And you'd move it and point it at a satellite, and you'd be at infinity again. And we ended up tearing that antenna apart and rebuilding it on the back of the U-Haul twice before we found and fixed the issue, which was a nearly invisible piece of the coax shield that would rotate and short to the pin inside of the Y connector that combines the two phases of the antenna and does the impedance match. So I outsourced that problem this year to someone else. If you can see in here, there are two circuit boards here. This is a kit made by Halibut Electronics. Cannot say enough about Mark's work. The kit's fantastic. Phasing match and impedance match is a hair off of what I would want, but more than good enough. And these kits are super inexpensive. It gives you the circuit boards and all the hardware, and the circuit board here has a balun built into it. This vertical board is your phasing. So for the two loops, you need them 90 degrees out of phase, and you need to match the impedance from whatever the loops are, divide by 2 because there's 2 of them in parallel, back down to 50. And you can do that with a quarter wave stub of transmission line, and you can calculate the impedance that you need. But no one will make a piece of coax at that impedance for you. But you can make whatever impedance transmission line you want on a circuit board, and they're cheap and readily available. So what Mark did here is just top circuit board is connection out to your elements. You provide the elements. Second board here is your phasing match and your balun. And so there's just a different board on the 70 centimeter antenna, but otherwise the same construction. It's a fantastic design. And I'm outsourcing the thing that I didn't do well last year to someone who did better than me. And when it doesn't work, I can go talk to Mark. He's only in San Diego. It's a short drive if you want to have a word with him, positive or negative. And all of this works. And I tested this in my backyard and made several satellite contacts over the ISS, which is easy. You can do that with an HT and not even pointing your antenna, but also over some of the quieter satellites. Now, it's not perfect. I needed the satellites to be mostly overhead. They were right at the line of what I could copy, but I could copy them and make reliable contacts. And also considering what happened last year, I took these antennas apart and threw the elements down in the dirt and stomped them into the grass and picked them back up and reassembled the antennas just to make sure this would reliably come apart and go back together for field day. And continued to work just fine. Only one thing that I really changed compared to Mark's instructions is all this 3D printed stuff. So this is me. This is not something that comes with the kit. What I found, and I would do something like this with any 8-beater that I was building, is that the impedance match and the resonance point of the antenna changes a lot with really small changes in the position of the elements. So like in the vertical elements, if they just rotate a little bit so that they're not square, that can just swing the SWR from about the best you'll get on these is about 1.2. So I was swinging from 1.2 to 2 just from a little bit of rotation. And the resonance point was shifting in the wrong direction. And so what you saw when I brought these to Homebrew Night was stiff, solid copper wire, which is a great way to build an element. Wouldn't recommend it for 8-beaters because every time that they would move around a little bit, the resonance point would change, the impedance would change. And so you test them and they'd be perfect. And then you go inside and the wind would move them a little bit. So replace them with 3D printed plastic, not too hard. Wire can't move if it's in something much more rigid. Required a little bit of change to the tuning of the elements. Christopher tried to tell me all about how you could calculate the necessary change there. I used a VNA and a pair of wire cutters until I got it right. Guess and check worked perfectly fine. because I had a perfectly working antenna, and then I put it into some plastic and it shifted 7%. Cool. Well, it's 7% larger than it needs to be. Let's shrink it down 7%, see what it needs. It worked totally fine. The interesting bit here is, why didn't this work on field day? Well, in my backyard, these two antennas were about 6 feet off the ground because they're not designed to be mounted to my roof. I don't have any place to put them anyway. These are built for field day. So I tested them down where I could tinker with them on a piece of pipe in a bucket full of concrete. It works. And that put them about, I think the 2 meter was closer to 7 feet up, but it was nice and accessible. And there's obstructions all around my yard, mostly stucco covered buildings, which is the worst thing for RF possible. But it means that I only have about a 30-degree window of the satellite being directly overhead where I can hear the darn thing at all, regardless of the antenna that I have. And it works totally fine. And then we take them to field day, and we have no local obstructions. And they're about 12, 15 feet up, something like that. Doug, how tall is that tower segment? Yeah, add 2 or 3 feet for the antennas in the mount that I built. So, 10, 12 feet up. And suddenly we can hear the weaker satellites, but it's right at the noise where I can tell that there's a transmission there, but I can't actually hear it clearly enough to make a contact. And there was no break in those transmissions where I wanted to check if I could be heard over the satellite, because doing that on field day is a very discourteous move. Cough, cough, W7AIA. And so I never did that, but I couldn't hear the weaker satellites. I could only hear the ISS. ISS could hear just fine. Why is it different at Doug's place, higher up, under better conditions, than it is in my backyard in San Jose with massive noise floors and obstructions? Well, I found out as I took these home and I started testing them 700 different ways until I could reproduce it. Right about here, the antenna's direct overhead reception is about 6 dB higher than it is here. Go up 2 feet that way, drop 6 dB. Go down a foot this way, drop 6 dB. Put it right here at exactly the height of my test stand, and it does great. This took multiple days because I don't have precision equipment or any way to test this. So what I did was I waited for the same satellite to pass at the same height relative to me and monitored the received signal on my radio, which ICOM having a nice waterfall, relative strength is good enough. And there's a 6 dB drop just by moving that antenna a couple feet in any direction. Now, I wasn't going to climb and keep getting the antenna higher to simulate field day conditions, but I think that answered it for the 2 meter. But I thought I had problems with 70 centimeter downlink antennas too. It wouldn't happen to both be at exactly the right height for their best performance, would they? And so I repeat my tests with satellites that have a 70 centimeter downlink, and it's 9 dB. Somehow I managed to test these antennas at exactly their best operating point and then operate them probably at the worst end of the spectrum. Remember when I said this is just barely good enough to reliably make satellite contacts? Subtract 6 dB and it's not making them, except for the ISS. The ISS it could make. All right. The question was what happened with the ISS. So 2 things happened with the ISS pass. Last year, that was the contact that we made, and it's the easiest satellite contact you can make. I can reliably make ISS passes on my truck with no directional antenna at all, just by parking in a decent spot. There were 2 passes that went at any height over us on field day. The best one was about 1:30 in the morning on Sunday. And for the entire 10 minutes of that pass, the same station, W7AIA, transmitted CQ, waited 3 seconds, failed to hear the 20 stations answering them and then transmitted again. This is not considered polite operating practice. Those getting into satellites for the first time, if you can't hear the satellite, don't transmit, especially on field day. I promise you there's someone transmitting. I promise you you'd hear them if you could. If you can't, you won't. Most of the satellites, the ISS being the major exception, do also transmit a beacon, which is just slightly offset from whatever band they're transmitting down. If you have a good radio with a waterfall, you can spot it. If you don't, tune to the beacon. And when you hear the beacon, then tune to whatever the operating downlink is. The second pass of the ISS, that was purely a skill issue. We got close, but we didn't make that contact. But yeah, if you want to send a Christmas card, W7AIA. I'm sure it's not the only one they'll be getting. Yeah. And I wish that operator no ill wishes other than for them to read about polite operating.
Question from Zoom?
And why the DB change? It has to do with ground reflections. You found where they're in phase, the ground reflection is in phase, and it's out of phase.
I figured that as well. It's a larger effect than I would expect from that, and I haven't been able to reproduce it in modeling. I can reproduce about a 3 dB difference, but 6 and 9, there's more to it as well. I heard a question from Zoom, though.
Yeah, it's Daryl. Hey, good presentation. And two questions, actually. I'll try to roll them in one. For 70 centimeter and 2 meter, I noticed that the antenna loops look almost identically the same size. I would have thought they would look a little bit different for each band. That's one question. The other question is, I was thinking that you were one wavelength above ground for 2 meters and possibly, if I do my math right, 2 wavelengths for 70 centimeter. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I think Andy may have hit on it as well with regards to the ground wave, in terms of why it made such a difference. So you kind of answered that one, but the antenna loops look nearly identical unless the wire inside is actually different.
Daryl, are you looking at the same antennas? Because
Show me your antenna. Wind around swing the camera around to the front. Okay. Now your egg beater.
this is 70 centimeter in my hand.
Oh, okay,
and the 2 meters on the table.
So the 70. Okay, so you had an Abra with one on one side and the other had the other. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they were 2 physically separated antennas.
That's what happens when you're blind. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So presumably this is why the commercial egg beaters have a little ground planing thing. Oh, sorry. So presumably this is why the commercial egg beaters have a little ground planing thing below. Is that something you consider?
It's part of it, right? So it is a counterpoise, so it does reduce the effect of where the ground is relative to the antenna. I haven't tried with these, but that's what modeling shows. There's kind of a disagreement in the satellite operating community about whether you should be running egg beaters with or without a ground plane. If we put a simple horizontal parallel to the ground reflector here, you'll push the radiated pattern of the antenna up quite a bit. So you're almost completely eliminating the option to operate near the horizon. And some of it can be huge. You can pull the bottom 30 degrees out of the antenna. So getting that right is kind of hard. It is beneficial, but most of the time your gain overhead is more than offset by your losses out horizontally. So if you get the wire count right and you droop them just right so that they're actually angled away from the loops, sort of the bottom of a disc cone almost, you can balance a little bit better. But yeah, there's arguments both ways. And so I intentionally didn't do that here, trying to bring most of the bottom of the orbit into something we had a chance at receiving, but did not succeed.
Which unexpected problem do you think we'll have next year?
Let's see. It might be me disappearing and never being seen again.
Maybe,
Oh,
maybe-
actually,
maybe-
actually,
maybe-
Bob will actually go gamble it on Kashi or whatever and see if he wins or not.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe a different way to ask the question is, do you have an idea of what kind of setup you might try for next year? Is it going to be similar to this? or
I'm
similar to last
very
year?
much torn
Yeah.
on the answer to that question. The objectively rational thing to do would be to tune this system to perform better in the actual field deployment position. Yes, I did
exactly.
reference that with
that's
with
right.
rational. And realistically, I could tune the impedance match a little and the phasing match a little bit better than Mark did in the circuit boards. It wouldn't be hard to spin those off. And I could add a properly drooped ground reflector, and would do very well. The proper solution is still to have a rotator, and I just didn't have the time in the projects to build it. I have actually solved quite a bit of the engineering of the problems around noise in the rotator, but just haven't had the time to actually build the darn thing.
Yeah.
So what's more likely to happen is that I build 2-meter long helical antennas and a massive rotator again. And then also bring these along with a ground plane for when that doesn't work.
Isn't the best solution to train to be an astronaut and end up on the ISS next year?
It's a lot easier to make the contact if you're there. But I don't believe I meet the qualifications for probably a long list of reasons. The question is, have I thought about just buying the rotator? And yeah, I could buy the rotator. I could buy the antennas. That's nowhere near as much fun. And you know, if I solved all of my problems by pulling out my credit card, would run out of money very, very quickly. But they are all solvable.
Well, in addition to that, your homebrew presentations wouldn't be as exciting because I went to here on Amazon, and Elliot has a question behind you, I think.
Given your penchant for pain in this context, have you considered splitting the difference and doing a rotator with an omnidirectional antenna?
And so the funny thing here is actually, even if you build these absolutely perfectly, there is still a benefit to pointing them at the satellite, right? In that they are only circularly polarized when the satellite is directly overhead. As you get to the horizon, depending on how you build the loop, they are either vertically or horizontally polarized. In this case, vertically polarized. So your polarization match always improves, even if your pattern is perfectly omnidirectional. And it's not. So realistically, between polarization match and just having better gain off the end of the antenna, there is a benefit to pointing them. But it's not that much of a benefit. So if you're going to point something better. I'll free time for the rest of my presenters here and not take the full hour.
Well, thank you very much, Justin. Who's going to be up next then between? Okay.
I need to volunteer. I need someone to be the propagation fairy. Okay, I've got Rohan. Okay, so you're going to be simulating N6NFI. The real N6NFI is on the call on Zoom, so he can't do it. Okay, so many people in this room have probably heard of Santa Clara County Aries Races or have been to some of their classes or something like that. Maybe could you raise your hand if you've done that? Cool, a whole bunch of people. For those of you who don't know, it's the group in Santa Clara County that handles emergency communications with ham radio. So we work with city governments and the county to organize what will happen if we ever have a communications problem and we need to get hams involved with supporting, communicating. We call them served agencies. So if think the hospital and the city hall need to keep talking to each other after an earthquake, for example. It's really fun. It's really valuable service that we can provide in an emergency. We also support events around the area, parades and runs and bike rides and things like that. One thing that you'll learn very quickly if you do Aries Races is you will learn really, really well how to fill out forms. Really, really well how to fill out forms. I like to tell people that my hobby is to sit in a room for 3 hours on Saturday morning and fill out forms, which is actually not that far off from what we do. So here's an example of a form that we fill out. This is the Aries Races, this Santa Clara County Aries Races version of the ICS 309, which is a form. It's the communications log. So you fill out this form to record everyone you talk to as part of an activation, as part of doing some work, radio work on behalf of another agency. The reason we do this is to make sure that there's a record of everything that happened in case we need to bring it up later, and just to make sure that everything happened the way we want it to. And then, of course, if there's a real emergency, we have to give all this stuff to FEMA, and then they'll pay us for our everything we did. So a lot of net operators keep 309s of nets that they use for events and other things, emergencies when they happen, although luckily they don't happen too often. And I don't know if you guys, some of you know me and know that my handwriting is, I'm going to say what Soren said at Field Day. He said, "Your handwriting is challenging." And so my handwriting is challenging. I like filling out forms for fun. And because of that, I also, as you also know, I operate the PAARA net once a month. I do the second Monday of the month. And so I like to keep track with the 309 to practice my form filling out so that I can get some real application, not just in class. So I wrote a website. It's not it's a website web app that lets you make a 309 if you have challenging handwriting. So instead of just demonstrating it, I have a propagation fairy now. So we're going to run a net in this room for a few minutes, and I'll fill out the form as I do on Mondays.
Repeater, time out.
Repeater, time out, cancel. Okay, so we'll type in PAARA meeting net, and we're meeting on the 500 terahertz band, KN6 UBF. It's very weird to do this with one hand. Whatever. Okay, so what happens when you start the net? It looks like this. You can see the frequency and the net control and the net control's name. We've got a timer here. It tells us what time it is. It tells us when the net starts. To open the net, I'll open the net. Then I'll say, it automatically checks me in as a net control. You can see it's given me the tactical call sign net. This is probably not big enough. It's going to look weird zoomed like this, but so I can say something like, "Thank you for joining the PAARA meeting net. I am your net control, KN6 UBF. Any emergency or priority stations may break in at any time. Is there any emergency or priority traffic?" Not hearing any, we will move on. This is a directed net. Please address all comments, check-ins, traffic to net control. Any stations that would like to check into the net at this time, please raise your hand and the propagation fairy will come around with the microphone.
AG6 LWA Doug.
So then I type the call sign here and I hit tab. You guys may have seen that what popped up here was Douglas Teeter, San Martin, California. This is going out to QRZ for search. Then all I have to do is hit enter, and I can say acknowledging KG6 LWE. And then another nice thing I can do here is I can say the last call sign I've acknowledged is KG6 LWE, so I can click this mark button, and then I can clear it later. Any other stations who wish to check into the net, please say you have traffic if you have traffic. Hint.
K6WEK Margaret in Menlo Park, and I have traffic tonight.
Okay, then I can type K6WEK, and I can say check the traffic waiting box. And she says what her
K6SV, Jim, Menlo Park, no traffic.
Okay, and then I can type if there's traffic, and then hit check in. She'll show up. It'll say traffic pending, and then I heard K6SV, and it's looking up very slow. Sometimes it looks up really slowly. Then I can say acknowledging K6WEK with traffic and K6SV. And then I can mark Jim as the last person who checked in. Any other stations who would like to check in to the PAARA meeting net tonight? Please raise your hand.
Somebody do a double.
Is any 5 and A with traffic?
AI6LDM.
There was a double there. The station that was here in the room, please go again.
NE5 and A with traffic.
November Echo 5, November Alpha. And I heard KI6LDM. And then net control can acknowledge NE5NA and KI6LDM. And what? Oh, NE5. Okay, well, let's say I forgot to record that he had traffic.
Let's say that.
What?
Let's say that.
Yeah, let's say I forgot to record that he had traffic. I was trying to get it. You're supposed to be able to edit the entry once you create it. Anyway, so yeah, what I would do then is I would continue to go through, and this is the sort of check-in period. It gives you this list of checked-in stations. You can then also mark. See what's you can't see because of the zooming is weird, but you can, if multiple stations have traffic and you want to mark it down, you can use these check boxes. So if I check that Doug has traffic, it says traffic number 1, and then actually Margaret was traffic number 1. Yeah, traffic number 1, traffic number 2, and then I have them listed so I hopefully don't forget. Another nice thing it does is you're supposed to, as I hope you all know, you're supposed to identify every 10 minutes. So this ident timer will start vibrating at us. It'll start shaking if you haven't identified in 10 minutes. And then you can click it and it'll reset to 10 minutes and count back down. This tracks how long the net has been open and what time it is in local and Zulu. You can export to a CSV or a PDF. We'll do that in a minute once we close the net. I guess we should take the traffic. I believe K6WEK had traffic.
This is N6NFI, repeater.
Hey, this is K6WK. I just wanted to tell everybody there's a memorial luncheon every Wednesday in Sunnyvale at the Black Bear Diner. It's the Arvid Hammer Memorial Luncheon run by Dave, K6WA. It's a good time. There are tons of people there and hundreds of years of ham radio experience. And it actually is really interesting to go and meet all these people and hear these interesting presentations when you do have time. That's my traffic, K6WK.
Are there door prizes?
Oh, there are door prizes. Sorry. If you bring a door prize, you get in the drawing for a door prize. But then there are also regular drawings for door prizes. If it's your birthday, you get an extra drawing for a door prize. I don't remember what else. Dave's right here. He could probably say. Yeah, it's a good time, and it's not a club, clique, or group of any type except for a bunch of ham radio operators who are awesome. That's it, K6WK.
Thank you, Margaret, for that traffic. And when I log the traffic, I can say who it's to. So there's this drop-down menu that comes up with who's the traffic, who's checked in. So I can just click on a station that's checked in. Or there's two special ones. There's net control and there's all. And there's actually 3 because there's net and NC are both short for net control. And I did that by accident, and then I kind of liked it, so I just left it. So that was traffic for all, because we all should attend the Wednesday luncheon. And then I can add the entry, and it goes down here. Yeah, that's pretty much how this works. I don't want to necessarily wait for the ident. It just starts shaking. You'll have to trust me on that. But then this is what you do if you want to reset it. So when you identify, you click, and then it just resets to 10 minutes. And then I'll show you what the final the final output of this looks like. The idea is that it's supposed to look very official. So remember that this one, no, I closed it. That's something else. Oops. This is what the one that was blessed by Tim KE6TIM from SCC Aries Races looks like. This is like the most official one you could possibly have. This is what my my hacked one looks like. So it has all the same boxes. They're in slightly different places, but it doesn't have challenging handwriting. So I hope everyone can read this, and yeah, it looks up from QRZ. It looks reasonably official. It takes care of the contact ordering and the from and to. If you have a tactical call sign, it should show the tactical call here, and then it tells you the tactical that was assigned to the operator in the check-in list. Yeah, and there's a prepared by and a place to sign and all that stuff. Yes, that's how this works. I think this is a website that you have to load once, and then it all works locally. So once you put set the website up, once you navigate to the website once, you don't need to. It's all static HTML. You don't need to have an internet connection for it to work. That means you could just download it from my GitHub. It's open source, and you could just save it forever as an app if you wanted it. Except for the QRZ part, that will gracefully turn itself off. You'll have to type all of that without it if you didn't have an internet connection. Connie has her hand up. Could the propagation fairy head over there?
Yeah, what happens if my computer crashes when I'm halfway through this? Do you have a cache?
Well,
are things being saved in real time there?
As all questions, it is answered with "it depends," and in this case, it depends on your browser and how it's implemented. I happen to know that Chrome. So this is all stored in until you export to a CSV or a PDF, it's stored in a cookie. And I happen to know that Chrome will only clear your cookies when you ask for it. So if I close this page and then come back 3 weeks later, it will come back. It will actually think the net has been open for 3 weeks. Like it just saves its state as is on a cookie. So if you restart your computer, even it persists in Chrome. It happens to. There's also a desktop app version of this app that I made. And I asked several people if they were more interested in the desktop app or the web app version. Every single one of them said, I do not want to download another desktop app. But that one does save things to disk more automatically.
Don't use it in incognito mode.
Yeah, or leave the tab open if you're going to use it in incognito mode. Elliot?
So this is more of a optimization question. You mentioned that you're pulling the call sign information from QRZ. I know that if you do not have a premium subscription to QRZ, they limit you to 100 queries per day. Have you considered doing what I guess I would call the wave log trick, because it can be configured to do this, where you look up from hamqth, which has unlimited searches first, and only if it's not found there do you fall back to QRZ?
I have not considered that. Please open a GitHub issue.
Will do.
Yeah. Justin. I'm taking traffic from people who are not checked in.
While you wait for Justin to get the microphone, I'm curious whether or not you've considered choosing a challenging font to make Soren happy.
Yes, I'm going to do it in Wingdings.
All right, so between you and Connie, hit both the points. I advise you to reconsider the cookie thing because Some of us don't run default browser settings. But yes, I was going to open a feature request for adding challenging handwriting bonus points if it is a simulation of your handwriting as a font.
Oh my God, you don't want my handwriting on your computer. But yeah, open a GitHub issue. Margaret had her hand up too. Andy, you can go first.
Question?
Yeah.
Are you already using voice recognition to record?
There's no voice recognition.
Well, that would be a nice addition.
Please open a GitHub issue. I don't.
I just want to say I did the net a couple times as a guest just to fill in for somebody. And it was so frustrating trying to log all of the check-ins that I created a VLOOKUP table because I'm an Excel person. I created all this stuff with the member list and the people who check in all the time. And I was updating it and doing all this crazy stuff. And you just like made all my work not worth anything. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to use this.
I know Tony and Alice use this both for the YouthNet and for the PAARA when they fill in. So usually Alice is doing net control and Tony is logging. I wonder how it would work if it went the other way. But yeah.
How much of this was hand coded?
0%.
Nice. What is your preferred AI model?
No, I guess being recorded. I have to be careful.
His opinions do not reflect his employer.
That's true. So I happened to use the OpenAI models for this because I already have a subscription that gives me tokens. They're not free, but they're included. So yeah.
I have one other question. So are we going to start? First of all, I mean, it looks great. It seems like it makes it much easier for people to run a net. Are we going to start having people upload those forms after our nets so we have records of?
So I have been it's optional, right? No, we don't have any logging rules, and I know a lot of the other net controls use paper. It's hard to upload paper. Well, they do make these things called scanners. But so I have been putting them in Discord. This is all client side. I don't have any server storage space or anything because I didn't want to pay money to do this.
Yep.
So I haven't really considered having like a server where you could look into these, but like we could keep the PDFs in Google Drive or on Discord or something.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, I don't know how useful they really would be, but we could put them somewhere where the website can access them or something.
Yeah, it's another digital artifact. 1,000 years from now, people will look up who checked into the net. Fun fact: if you go and look at I did this for fun once, probably 2-3 years ago. If you go to the archive of paragraphs on our website, and you just go as far back as you possibly can, like to the beginning of the archive, and you click on the oldest issue, and you scroll about 3 pages down, you see Andrew Korsak, president. So so you never know who's looking at those 50-year-old paragraphs or net check-in logs.
Indeed. Was there a picture of him?
No, it was the paragraphs in the 70s were typewritten.
Typewritten.
They were
Wow.
made on a typewriter and
Yeah.
copied. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That's all I had.
The next one, I guess, is Connie, and then depending on how much time we have, you might do another thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Connie.
Connie?
Let me close the net. So you close the net, and then it shows you this summary page like this, and then you export the PDF. There's a net after that. It's called the meeting, and then there's a meeting after the meeting too. the net after the net after the net.
I have now that we're thinking about it, I have one other follow-up question. Can you do something similar to log the introductions in the meeting here and take pizza orders?
Yeah, I could open a GitHub issue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget if you don't tell me somehow in writing.
Yeah.
That's great. The feature requests are accepted when I happen to be in front of a writing implement. Now.
Oh, good. Well, I just made one. Yeah, that is the real question. I don't think the guy that's there when we go there later will know, but
okay, so Bob asked me if I could make this work so that people could type in their pizza orders at the beginning of the meeting, and then by the time we show up at Roundtable, have a pizza ready, pre-scheduled execution, so it's right there as we need it. And I think the answer I gave was, tell me in writing, and then I'll get to it. And then I said, we need to find a way to make it electronically submit our order automatically so that we don't have to translate it to a call. So yeah, I'll work on that by next. I'm not going to promise that it'll be working by the break.
all right, Connie, you up?
Okay. Hi. Yeah, I'm Connie, W6EF5. And this is in fact fitting, as Margaret points out, that we have been having a CW net after the net on Monday nights. So here I am talking about CW. So tonight, what I want to do is to recognize those people who made a commitment to learn a little bit of CW or a lot of CW Morse code, really, and make at least one contact in code on CW during field day this year. So I'd like to recognize several people who did this. We have a few in the room and one or two, maybe more on Zoom. So I am going to start right out by calling out some call signs, and I hope you will come up and let me give you a couple of little tokens of recognition. So the first one on my list is Ben, KN6UBF. And let's have some applause. Yeah, so very good, Ben. Fine business. For you, I have logging. Excuse me. I have logging. I have personalized logging for you. You can clear all the cookies you want, and the data will persist. It is personalized. These are personalized. I'll show you. Yeah, here. Let me. These are. Yeah, that's right. So we have it's personalized with his call sign, and it has a special icon code sticker on it. It's the shiny holographic icon code sticker, and with it you get a Blackwing pencil. And if you don't know about Blackwing pencils, you should learn about Blackwing pencils, because they are the pencils to have. The preferred pencils of animators everywhere. The little notebook is a Write in the Rain notebook. So yeah, so robust logging, and you get a few more stickers because everybody -1 likes stickers. Okay, thank you, Ben. Yeah, and a QSL card because I got tons of them. So okay, the next person I'd like to call up is Hyuntek, AK6RI. Very good, Hyuntek. Yeah. So Hyuntek has been working on CW for a while, and he helped me do a park activation, a portable park activation on 160 meters back in December. It was on code. He assisted me. And so this year he made antenna design with Elliot's antenna design, and completed an activation. And then Hyuntek, you made what, 10 or so contacts this field day, right? Yeah. So very good. And here you go. So you get your Right on the Rain, you get your stickers, you get a QSL card for me because I got to get rid of a few of them. So, and a Blackwing pencil. Yeah, so very good. Congratulations. Very good. Okay. Okay, now we have a few more here. Alice, Kilo Oscar 6, Kilo Zulu Oscar. I think she is neither here nor on Zoom tonight. They're camping, and no doubt she's using her new skills to make contacts and activate parks and impress people and win friends. So that's Alice. Daryl, Kilo India 6, Lima Delta Mike. I believe you are on Zoom tonight.
I am here.
Yeah, congratulations, Daryl. Awesome job. So Daryl has says frequently told the story that he's always, he's a ham. He's been a ham forever. And he's always wanted to make contacts on CW and never really got to that point. But this initiative made it possible, and he jumped into all of the nets after the net, practiced consistently, and got to get on the CW station at field day. So fulfilling a dream, from what I understand. Am I getting that correct, Daryl?
That is correct. I actually did CW at the Cupertino Amateur Radio Emergency Services Field Day, or CARES Field Day, and then I worked CW not on Rick's station but on the state on Phone A. I switched to CW, and I use my laptop because of my vision, so I use assistive technology. But I did hook the ICOM up to my laptop, but it wouldn't key the radio using the N1 NM macro. So all my replies were hand keyed by using my paddle. So and they were patient. It was good. I messed up a couple times, but was able to pound out our exchange and our call sign and so that was actually pretty cool. So it was wonderful. Thank you for all the work that you've done to get us here. Give Connie a paw. I mean, she deserves it.
Well, it's has been my pleasure, and to help people acquire a skill and do something that they have aspired to do, get comfortable enough to do it, sort of make it accessible to people. That's so rewarding for me. Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Daryl, I have your logging application here, and next time I see you, I'll give you the little notebook and the pencil. Awesome notebook, awesome pencil. Can't recommend them enough.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the final one I have on my list is JW6JY. I don't know if he's on tonight. Okay, yeah, he said he couldn't make the meeting. I wasn't sure if he was going to be on Zoom or not, but I guess not. So I've got a few that I will give to people. And am I forgetting anybody? Yeah, so Gabe and Tony, I wasn't sure. So I need to ask them, right. So was he new to CW? Was this? Oh, okay. So Tony, yeah, I have a few here where I just couldn't quite get the information. I couldn't be at field day. I had a death in the family, and I had to go east to attend a memorial service on over field day weekend. Side note, I did field day. I went out a day early so that I could set up somewhere. I had no idea where I was going to be until about 8 hours before I got started. And I managed field day. I was on CW the whole time. I scored over 700 points when you add up all the bonus. So I'm going to throw all of that. I'm going to kick all of that over to PAARA as well. Yeah, so I will follow up. Everybody will get their notebooks, and pencils and stickers. Yes.
I have a small correction. I met Tony over CW on 40 meters about 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Tony is an experienced CW operator. That's great. He has been so supportive of this whole effort. So he definitely deserves some special recognition there. Excellent. Yeah.
KO6 MFO and KO6 MFP.
Yeah.
Gabriel's children both made.
Yes.
They both made contacts on field day.
Okay. Yeah. I asked Gabe. I didn't get an answer. I think they were off camping. So yeah. Oh, that was his kids. I didn't see the call signs on there, so I wasn't sure. Okay, awesome, excellent. Well, guess what? I have logs for them too. Yeah, Elliot.
Yeah, so in the spirit of sort of CW accessibility, I wanted to expand on something that Daryl brought up, which is that his keyer wasn't working, and so he used his paddle. When I first got started learning CW, I didn't know if I would be interested in it, and I didn't want to commit to the cost of buying a paddle. So when I made my first CW contact, I simply rhythmically hit the transmit button on my hand mic, and because of how CW is modulated, that works just fine.
Awesome. Hyuntek.
I also would like to add that like Connie was a great mentor, and during the field day he helped me do the code, and also Rick as a station captain for CW. Yeah, they are very great mentors to, in addition to Connie.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Rick. Yes, our station captain. He has been so super as a mentor. So I kind of look up to him as well. Yeah, thank you, Rick. Thank you for keeping that flame alive.
Yeah, thank you for lending us your ears. Would have been much harder without your ears.
Yeah. So I'm going to conclude with just a couple of observations and comments, and then I think we'll have time for a few more questions, but I'm sure people are getting restless and looking forward to the break. My first observation is that, and this is an observation just of watching people learn, go from, I want to do this, I'm afraid of it, I have no idea what equipment, I don't know how to learn, don't know where to start, I'm terrified I'm gonna put hand on key and then people are gonna jump on me and make me feel terrible. So these are observations from the last 9 months or so. We sort of got this ball rolling around Pacificon last year. Regarding how to learn, everybody in the group had, and everybody in the club and everybody who knows some Morse code seems to have a different method of learning it. So there's a whole spectrum of possible ways to learn the code initially. And it doesn't really seem to matter much what method you use. Just use an audio method, not a visual method. Don't look at charts of dits and dots and dashes. If you see one, cover it up, put tape over it. But it doesn't matter. Some people benefit by class. Some people don't want to take class. I happen to be in that latter category. You don't need a class, but a class can be helpful. Depends on who you are and what works for you. Regardless of what method, what matters is whether you're motivated, whether you're self-motivated. So the people who seemed most successful at this were the folks who had an intrinsic motivation to do this for some reason, saw it as a tool to make more effective contacts when you have when you are in a QRP or a noisy situation, sometimes CW is the one mode that will actually get through because the other person doesn't need a computer, and your bandwidth, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're putting all your power into a very narrow bandwidth. But the people who followed through and were most successful and seemed to be most successful at learning this are the folks who were internally motivated. Feeling like you have to do it because this makes you a real ham, or you want to impress somebody, or you've got peer pressure, that's probably not going to be enough. And by the way, you don't need to. You don't need to do this. It's a hobby. We do this as a hobby. Keep that in mind. In addition to motivation, the most successful learners are people who practice consistently. Not necessarily a lot of time every day, but who somehow listen to some code and practice it every day. It can be just a couple of minutes. Can be a couple of minutes. It can be more. It can be chasing POTA. It can be listening to recordings. The ARRL has a great archive of recordings. It can be having nets once a week, as we have done in the club. Yeah, so just that consistent practice, just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. If you can do a couple of minutes every day, that's great. Your brain is just built to learn with practice. We found that as a group, it was sort of a game. It was kind of fun. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons regularly and get together with a group of friends, regularly, and we'd play. And the similarity between getting together with friends and doing some kind of code practice together, the weekly code practice, somehow I flashed on those gaming sessions. Just getting together with friends and just doing something was a lot of fun, helped with the motivation. It was something to look forward to, and it wasn't just homework. These people were patient. People were patient with each other. I think Daryl mentioned that people were patient with mistakes. That's something you will see. It's like a community ethos among people who do code mostly. I mean, there's exceptions. There are lids of all sorts out there, but generally people are patient. You need to be patient with yourself. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Even when you're skilled, people make mistakes. Expert typists make typos. It just happens. So patience with yourself is important. The patience that people showed to each other has been awesome. And I want to thank people for being very patient with me, because I just sort of started doing this thinking, this is cool. It'll be more fun with more people. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not very good at this, but people have been unfailingly patient and uncritical as I kind of stumbled through the process of trying to figure out what's going to benefit people in the club who made this commitment. Well, how do you even run a net in CW anyway? That's not trivial, and I'm still working that out, and I'm trying to find CW nets that are out there and listen to them and look at their scripts and try not to make it too bureaucratic and burdensome, because this is just it's just conversational. Yeah, so that's how I want to conclude. I want to thank people for their participation, for making this fun, for making this an important part of the club, and our reputation grows as people on the air hear our net and start to check in. We have random check-ins from random places around the continent, which is so awesome and so cool. yeah, so we will continue after, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe, and we've all had a chance to catch our breath. We'll start picking up the net after the net again, and I hope people will continue to participate. Maybe a few more people will want to show up. So yeah, okay. Well, I thank you very much. I'm Connie, W6EFI, and I'll take questions, and then I guess we'll have a break.
Yep.
Oh, I just like to commend you for doing this, because many of us, we used to use Morse code, hadn't done it for a long time, and now we have this chance to practice Morse code. So yeah, wonderful that you're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments before we break?
I have a quick comment. I hope to be competent enough to volunteer to fill in as net control in the next few months. So I would hope to do that.
Super. Okay, awesome. And I welcome, I welcome input, Ben, so any suggestions that you have. I find the information that's out there a little bit sparse, and it's really hard when you're trying to do it in code and not in voice. Yeah.
On that, would you be willing to write, after we're a little bit more stable, would you be really willing to write a best practices guide for running a conversational CWNet that we can put on our website as a resource for other clubs?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that.
Yes, please. And I want input from people too. I've tried a number of things, and a few things work and a lot of things don't work. So, yeah. Okay. Hey, awesome. All right. Very good. Well, I think we need to break now. So is that, yeah, you just asked. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, Alan.
So I was just going to ask, what's the future of the sort of the blood oath? Are you going to are we going to have another cohort who are going to do it for their first time next year, or is this
the rollover cohort? Pacificon. That sounds more like a suggestion than a question. Should we do that? Should we have another one?
Now that you have a first cohort that's gone through, is there going to be hazing?
Hazing.
That would be me.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. If people want to do it, that's great. Yeah. This has been a lot of fun. So yeah. A question in the back? No? Okay. Nope, guess not.
What he did or no?
Joe, go ahead.
Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention that the league runs stuff up there for practice for CW. They've been doing it for, since before I was born.
Yeah, that's right. So they have recordings. They have an archive of recordings of the code practice that they send out. They have a regular schedule, and as Joe said, they've been doing it since the beginning of time. And their schedule is published in QST and, of course, on their website. So it's an excellent resource.
Are any of our recent graduates going to strive for next field day to help Rick copy the ARRL message?
We'll try.
All right.
What we'll do is record it. Then well,
that's what we did last year, because I ended up recording it because we realized we didn't have it yet and it was coming for the last time. So I recorded it and then Rick translated it for us. But that definitely is a good way to do it. We can record it. Rick can do it in real time, and people can try and do it offline too.
Yeah, I recorded it and then I recorded it while I was copying, and then I went back to fix mistakes and fill in blanks.
Yep.
So they don't say you can't do it that way. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So hey, I'll take the bonus points.
Yep, take the hit. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Connie. Thank you to all of our speakers.